So when crossing the street, I used to think, they'll either kill me and I don't care, or I won't care, or I'll sue. And let me tell you why that doesn't always work. It was the summer of 2010. I was on the verge of turning 16 years old. The sun was shining. I got dressed into some of my favorite clothes at the time, some nice blue jeans and a new Rancid shirt. I had a fantastic idea of walking down to my grandmother's house to get some of her delicious homemade pancakes. I walked downstairs to let my dad know what I was doing, and he was like, "Alright, well, sounds good. Do you want me to make steak quesadillas for dinner?" And of course I want him to make steak quesadillas for dinner. So I said yes, and I put on my headphones and was on my way to my grandma's. I remember the exact path I used to walk there, and at a certain point on a somewhat busy road, the sidewalk just kind of crumbles into nothing, and you're kind of forced to go to the sidewalk on the other side of the street. And there's no crosswalk or anything, but I wasn't worried because I had done this a million times before. I looked both ways and began to cross the street. Halfway through, I looked to my right, and everything went in slow motion as I saw the front of a white Trailblazer hit me in the side. Still in slow motion, I began spinning in the air and thinking, did I just get hit by a car? This doesn't happen. Anyway, hit the ground with a thud, bounce up, hit the ground again, and slid down the road a bit. The lady who hit me got out of her car and she was freaking out. She was like, oh my gosh, I've never hit a person before. And as she's freaking out, I'm thinking I'm fine. My body was still in shock, so I didn't feel anything. I tried telling her I'm okay, but all that comes out is, so she's freaking out even more, and I'm like, alright, I just got the wind knocked out of me. I need to get up and present myself and show the lady hey, I'm fine, look. And I went to go push myself up off the ground, and I looked at my arm. It looks like there's a second elbow, and at that point I'm just like, okay, that's broken. I'll just lay here and wait for an ambulance. Well, minutes go by and the lady is still freaking out. Traffic is backed up, and I'm still laying on the ground, and no one has called anyone. I did hear a lady get out of her car and ask what happened, to which the lady who hit me replied with, I don't know, I was just on my phone and all of a sudden I heard this big thud. Well, I guess I was the big thud. After a little bit, my friend's dad's girlfriend drives by on her motorcycle and sees me laying there. Confused, she's like, Austin? And I'm like, Rachel? And she's like, what are you doing there? And I'm like, oh, just hanging out, you know. Finally, she calls 911 and my dad and tells them what's going on. My dad gets there in what felt like seconds, and not too long after, so are the EMTs. I'm driven to the hospital where they cut off all my good clothes, leaving me naked with a little wash rag on my goods, and I'm thinking, come on, you at least couldn't give me a dish towel or something. Anyway, they flop me from table to table, examining me, before finally telling me what's up. A doctor and nurse comes in, and they're like, so, your humerus is broken in half. And I'm like, yeah, I got that one. You have a hairline fracture across your pelvis. Okay. 2 pieces of your spine have chipped off. Okay. Luckily, that was the end of it, and I didn't seem to be paralyzed or anything, but they did want a urine sample to check for internal bleeding or something. I tried peeing in a cup for them, but my body wouldn't relax enough because I was still in shock, and so I couldn't. They said not to worry. I have until 6 o'clock to try, and if I can't pee by then, they would have to use a catheter. Now, I don't know if you know what a catheter is, but basically, they take a little tube, and they shove it in your pee-pee hole. They suck out the pee-pee. I didn't want that. So I go to my room, and since I'm not 18 yet, they send me to the pediatric care, so my feet are hanging off the bed since I've been 6'1" for since 7th grade. Time goes by, and I keep trying to pee with no success until at one point, maybe 20 minutes till 6, I pee. And I fill up that bad boy, I tell you what. I'm so proud, I'm like, Mom, look, I did it. I peed. And she's like, that's great. And before I go on, let me tell you a little something about my mom. She, at the time, was taking care of my grandpa a whole lot. And he had to pee in cups a whole lot because he was bedridden. So she was in the habit of, taking the pee, taking it to the bathroom, and flushing it. Well, I give my cup of pee to my mom. She walks in the bathroom, and I'm thinking, okay, she probably just doesn't want it smelling up the room. That's understandable. It's a cup of pee. Then I hear the toilet flush. She comes out with an empty bottle, and I'm like, Mom, what have you done? And she looks at me, and then she looks at the bottle, and then she looks at me, and is like, oh shoot, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, Mom! And I'm so scared and mad and sad all at the same time that I just start peeing again. So I tell her to give me the bottle, and in just enough time, had just the right amount of pee that my pee-pee hole was safe another day. I ended up making a full recovery. I had to wear a back brace for a bit, and I'm honestly going to have back problems for the rest of my life. I had to go through some terrible physical therapy. On the other hand, because it was my right arm that was broken, I couldn't shave, so I started to grow out my beard. I was scared I wasn't going to be able to draw again, but, you know, I pushed through. Nowadays, I got some back pain, of course, and a big old scar on my arm, but I'm doing okay. As far as the lady who hit me, well, she actually tried suing me for damages to her vehicle. Yeah, I guess the dent in her hood would probably meant a lot more to her than, you know, my broken and permanently damaged body, but, you know, whatever, it is what it is. Me and my family tried to fight back with our own lawsuit, but because the police never took my report, they only took hers. She said that I was like a middle-aged drunken man that jumped out in front of her. Again, I was like a 15, 16-year-old kid, and was not drinking. But anyway, because of that, they only got her side of the story. Do I hold a grudge? Nah. So yeah, be careful while crossing roads. Thanks a lot for watching this. If you like stuff like this, definitely be sure to give it a like and maybe leave a comment. I plan on doing things like somewhat regularly. Yeah. Like I said, thanks for watching, and hope you guys have a good day. Be careful while crossing the road.